My wife cheated on me with my boss, his son, and two other men at a party. She came home with an STD, thinking I'd still take her back. Instead, karma hit hard, and my revenge finished the job. Hello Reddit I, plus here. My name is Julian Herrera, and I'm 41 years old. For the past 15 years, I've worked as a senior systems architect for a multinational tech firm based in Guadalajara. My life had always revolved around structure, blueprints, systems, roadmaps. Not just in my job, but in my soul. I built things. I built trust, plans, futures. I thought I had built a family too. Her name was Marisol, and she was 37. We met at a mutual friend's art exhibit back in 2012. She was working as a freelance interior designer then, sketching hotel lobbies and restaurant concepts in spiral-bound notebooks. She was dazzling, charismatic, creative, the kind of person who made even waiting in line at a coffee shop feel like an adventure. We married in 2016, and for years I carried the full financial load without complaint. 2 years ago, she stopped working, saying she needed to rediscover herself after a bout of burnout. I never doubted her. I thought that's what a good husband did. Carry the weight, give space, trust completely. Even as our dinners became silent, even as she drifted into late-night phone scrolling and yoga classes she never mentioned before, I thought it was a phase. And when the biggest deal of my career finally landed, a national systems integration contract worth millions, I believed it was the missing piece. The moment we'd rise together. I was wrong. It started with small things. Marisol mentioning my boss, German Salgado, far too often. German was 52, a shrewd and magnetic man with a politician's smile. He'd been grooming me for a promotion, and on a corporate retreat in Puerto Vallarta, he toasted me in front of the other directors, saying I was the future of the company. I floated home that weekend, champagne still humming in my veins. I bought Marisol lilies, her favorite, and a silver pendant from a local artisan. She barely looked up from her phone. "That's nice, Julian," she said, like I'd told her the weather. I tried harder after that. Morning coffee, weekend getaways, spontaneous flowers, but she only grew colder. When she smiled at her phone one evening and instantly hid the screen when I walked in, my stomach flipped. I told myself I was paranoid, but betrayal has a scent, and my home was starting to reek of it. One night after a quick business trip to Monterrey, I came home early. Marisol was in the shower. As I changed the bed sheets, I found a lace thong on the floor, stained, smelling of sweat and cologne that wasn't mine. That was the moment something inside me died. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I called my old friend Tomas, a family lawyer, and told him everything. He advised me to hire a private investigator immediately to play the long game and keep my head clear. Within 48 hours, a discreet investigator named Fabian Cortez had planted GPS trackers in Marisol's car, hidden cameras in our living room, and tiny mics in the hallway smoke detectors. I became an actor in my own life, smiling at her across the dinner table, while my phone buzzed with real-time surveillance updates. I felt dirty, but not as dirty as I'd feel if I kept playing the fool. A week later, Marisol told me she'd picked up a weekend catering gig at German's private estate outside Zapopan. Just to feel useful again, she said. She hadn't lifted a finger around the house in months, but now she wanted to work until 3 a.m. at my boss's mansion. I smiled, helped her choose a dress, even kissed her forehead as she left, while Fabian and I sat in a black sedan down the road, streaming the footage live. What I saw made my skin crawl. Marisol didn't arrive at German's as staff. She arrived as a guest, waltzing past the front gates in a sequined dress, kissing him on the mouth before she even reached the door. Inside, she sat on his lap, whispering into his ear, while the hidden camera caught everything. Then his son, Diego, walked in, a 23-year-old who'd just finished his MBA in Madrid. Marisol grinned like a teenager caught at a party. She took his hand, dragged him onto the sofa, and soon she was between them, laughing, kissing both of them like she'd rehearsed it. What happened next belonged in a nightmare. 2 more men arrived, guests I didn't recognize. No introductions, no hesitation. Marisol undressed herself, climbed onto German, then Diego, then the strangers in turn. There were no condoms, no shame, just her moaning and shouting, "I've never felt this alive," while 4 men used her like a shared toy. I watched it all on my phone screen, numb. This was not a mistake. This was a choice. That night broke something permanent in me, but it also birthed a kind of cold clarity I'd never felt before. While she slept off her shift at a friend's house, I moved our joint savings into an account she couldn't touch. Tomas filed divorce papers the next morning, citing adultery with video evidence. We froze the house title, and within a month, the court granted me full ownership. Marisol didn't know any of this until I sat her down at the kitchen table, slid a USB drive across to her, and pressed play. She watched herself on Germain's lap, then on his son's lap, then on the stranger's. Her face drained of color. "You can keep the pendant," I said quietly. "Everything else is mine." When Germain found out about the recordings, he panicked. His wife left him, the board forced him into early retirement, and Diego's MBA job offer at our partner firm evaporated. As for Marisol, she moved in with a cousin in Tlaquepaque. Her social circle scorched earth. Last I heard, she'd picked up work at a low-rent club in the city center. The same people who once envied her now whispering behind her back. People think revenge feels like fireworks. It doesn't. It feels like walking out of a burning house barefoot, ash sticking to your soles. I didn't cheer when the judge granted me the divorce. I didn't celebrate when Germain resigned. I simply went home, sat on the edge of my bed, and stared at the lilies I'd once brought Marisol. All my life I'd built systems to protect me, but nothing protects you from the person you sleep beside. Now, 2 years later, my career is stronger than ever. I bought a smaller apartment closer to the lake. Some mornings I sit on the balcony with coffee and think about how easy it is to miss the red flags, how quickly trust turns to smoke. I don't miss her. I miss the man I was before I saw that video. The man who believed his marriage was real. This is how I learned the hardest truth of all. You can design networks, you can build structures, but you can't blueprint a human heart. Divorce papers had been signed. The house was legally mine. Marisol had gone from wearing designer dresses at luxury brunches to borrowing clothes from her cousin and taking taxis she couldn't pay for. But here's the thing. Betrayal leaves scars that aren't healed by paperwork. It wasn't enough to just be free of her. Every night I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing in Germain's lap or shouting, "I've never felt this alive," while 4 men took turns. Those words didn't just haunt me. They branded me. I realized that if I walked away quietly, she'd keep living, keep lying, maybe even crawl back into someone else's good graces. Germain, too, the man who praised me to my face while desecrating my marriage bed behind my back. Justice in the courts wasn't enough. I wanted something harsher, something permanent. My investigator, Fabian, had more footage than we'd even used in court. Hours of compromising video. Marisol with Germain, with Diego, with strangers whose faces I'd traced to 2 of our company's regional contractors. Fabian also dug deeper. One of the men was married with 3 children. Another was under investigation for fraud. Germain had quietly funneled company funds into consulting firms tied to Diego. It wasn't just adultery. It was corruption, hypocrisy, rot, and I knew exactly how to pull the thread. I created an anonymous email account and sent a neatly packaged file to Germain's wife, Patricia. Screenshots, videos, proof of infidelity. She filed for divorce within a week, freezing several of his accounts. Next, I sent the same material to the board of directors. A scandal like that, tied to corporate parties and financial improprieties, Germain was asked to resign. His golden parachute vanished. Years of reputation turned to ash overnight. Diego wasn't spared. The firm in Madrid that had offered him a high-ranking position received the leaked videos anonymously, alongside whispers of his involvement in his father's shady companies. They rescinded their offer. He returned to Guadalajara, unemployed and disgraced, his name trending on local gossip pages. Marisol thought the worst had passed after the divorce. She still called me sometimes, leaving tearful voicemails. "Julian, you don't understand. I was lost. I didn't mean it." I never answered. Instead, I traced the other 2 men from that party. One, the married contractor, I anonymously tipped off to his wife. She left him, taking the kids and half his assets. The other, the fraudster, I sent evidence to the federal auditors. He was arrested within months. One by one, the men who'd touched my wife that night fell like dominoes. The last act was Marisol herself. She had nothing left. No husband, no home, no career. She started bartending at a low-rent club downtown. I let her think I had moved on, but then I found out something she didn't know I knew. After her wild nights with Germain and his crew, she had contracted an STD, untreated, festering. It wasn't deadly, but it was humiliating. She was on medication, paying out of pocket because she couldn't afford health insurance anymore. I paid Fabian extra to leak that information discreetly through gossip networks. Within weeks, whispers about her condition spread across the nightlife scene. The few friends she still had stopped calling. Even the club where she worked quietly let her go. She became radioactive. It was nearly a year later when she showed up at my new apartment, thinner, her hair brittle, eyes hollow. She begged me to listen. "You ruined me, Julian," she hissed. "You took everything. For what? For a mistake?" I looked at her calmly. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. A mistake is burning dinner. You planned your betrayal. You filmed it with laughter. You shouted to the world that it made you feel alive. And now? Now you can feel what I felt. Emptiness." She broke down, sobbing at my doorstep. For a second, I almost pitied her, but then I remembered the smell of those stained panties, the sound of her moaning for men who weren't me, and I closed the door. By 2024, the tally was complete. German, divorced, bankrupt, shunned from corporate life. Diego, career ruined before it even started. Contractor, family gone, finances gutted. Fraudster, jailed. Marisol, alone, broke, whispered about in every circle that once admired her. And me? I was promoted to regional director, the very role German once promised me. My name carried weight in the industry. People congratulated me on my resilience, never knowing the storm I'd orchestrated from the shadows. People ask me sometimes why I never remarried. The truth? Once you've seen the person you loved most turn into a stranger, your definition of trust changes forever. Do I regret destroying them all? Not for a second. Betrayal is a fire. If you don't control it, it consumes you. I chose to aim the flames outward, to burn the liars, the cheats, the parasites who thought they could humiliate me. And now, whenever I sit on my balcony overlooking the lake, sipping black coffee as the sun rises, I smile, not because I'm happy, but because I survived, and they didn't.